It's not about being racist. I've got Italian in my side, Moroccan, half people in my Jamaican.
There's going to be an uprising and people are going to be disgruntled. The judgment we've just got is a victory for people in Epping.
You've got people that are already in a bit of a mess, who've probably been forced out of their homes because countries like ours have bombed them in the first place, who have probably not wanted to stay in a hotel. I don't pretend to know the answer to them housing people that need housing, but I do know that people screaming and shouting outside when people aren't having a good time anyway. It's not going to help anyone.
Councils across England are preparing to take legal action to remove asylum seekers from hotels in their area. The contentious use of asylum hotels will likely be remembered as a defining feature of Keir Starmer's government. He promised to end their use by 2029, but after a High Court decision granted Epping District Council a temporary injunction to block asylum seekers from staying in the Bell Hotel, the end could come much sooner. Protests outside the Bell Hotel erupted after an asylum seeker housed there was charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old. It sparked a wave of similar demonstrations outside asylum hotels across the country. Big questions like how to house asylum seekers and how to fix a fraying social fabric loom over the Labour government, unanswered, at least for now. But in Epping, despite the court action, there remains anger, fear, and discontent.
Well, obviously I know that there was the alleged sexual assault, so I think a 14-year-old girl, and I know obviously about the protests and everything since then. So it's been quite divisive, I think, as a community. I'm on a lot of their social media accounts and things like that, and you can see there's lots of arguments and things on there. So it's just a real shame, actually, because Epping's always has such a lovely community vibe about it. I've lived here for, I think, nearly 13 years now. So yeah, it's just quite sad, really, how it's all sort of come about.
Was it controversial in Epping when asylum seekers were first placed there?
Yes, it was. I remember seeing people such as yourselves interviewing the local people that particularly live very close to it. Same as the story anywhere else. We don't know who these people are, what their backgrounds are, if they're criminals, what their history and antecedents is. So it was very upsetting, particularly for a town like Epping. There's a reputation of being a nice, good, friendly town and village.
I mean, obviously the alleged assault that has sparked the most recent protests is horrific. But do you think it's fair that maybe all of the asylum seekers now are being tarred with that brush?
Well, there's good and bad in everybody, but it just seems that the worst is coming out in this situation because you hear of so many stories throughout the country. Yeah, I'm sure not every person in there is a criminal or a sex offender. But they've all entered the country illegally. There are proper ways of doing it. I don't know where they're all from, but I've heard that Albanians, which is not a war zone, it's not an EU country, are coming here, throwing their passports away, where you can get a flight from Tirana to London for about £30 and they're paying £3,000 to ride in a dinghy. It's the benefit system here that is attracting people that we shouldn't do. No other country offers what we do, and there's people here, the British people, that are being pushed to one side. There are homeless veterans that have fought for these people, either in their own countries or to give them a better stance, are being stepped over in favour of the immigrants.
And it just needed someone to stand up and say, no, we've had enough. And that's what Epping has done. And hopefully other towns and cities will follow.
I mean, what do you think that Keir Starmer should do about this issue?
Resign. I can't stand him, really. He's a failed Prime Minister, the most hated Prime Minister in England at the moment, along with our fallen King. And I'm afraid that's what he's nicknamed, the Mad King or the Fallen King. And Starmer has just ruined this country and he's making it worse. And I think a lot of the Labour MPs ain't realising they're never going to get back once he's out, and they should say, no, we've had enough, we want an election.
Yeah.
And the quicker they do that, the better this country stands a chance of getting someone in. I'm not saying Nigel Farage is the perfect man. He's got a lot of mouth, but not a lot of action at the moment.
Would you trust him more than you trust Keir Starmer?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think he should listen to people like Tommy Robinson, of those lot. I think you should listen to them on that, because I think if you come to it, if it's Tommy Robertson and Farage, well, there's no question, it'd be Tommy Robertson. I mean, I'm looking forward to the big march in September. So I think it's about time. It's about being racist. I've got Italian in my side, Moroccan, half-past people in my Jamaican, and that it's about who's paying for all this and what they're getting away with. And most of the people seem to be they are terrorists, which is right. That's what we're looking at. People being raped, mugged, people going into shops like they'd never done before, nicking out of Greg's and all these other shops. And that's never happened before. We didn't have all this rubbish in the 70s and things like that, but now people have got to say enough is enough now. And Starmer's not looking on the British side of things. He's saying, no, I've got to get this, I'm going to get these votes, I'm going to get their votes. And that's wrong. So it's about time this country stood up, and the council did well, I must admit. I'm not fond of Epping Council, but they've done the right thing this time.
I don't agree with the number coming over, but I don't know where you're going to put them. So, yeah, that's a problem.
And I guess a lot of people online were saying that some of these protesters were concerned citizens, concerned locals. Others were saying that it's the far right. Who do you think was there?
Maybe a mixture. I couldn't tell you a percentage, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of concerned parents and families, but also a lot of people came from very far that weren't from Epping. So.
And living in Epping, I mean, what have you just kind of heard about the situation being a local?
I think generally it was very quiet for many years until something happened, and I think that was a trigger point. It definitely seems like it was an organised movement as well. So yeah, it wasn't just a few people in Epping sitting at the pub deciding to take action. I think there's many more people involved in this.
There was always lots of rumours about some of their, behaviour from some of the people at the Bell Hotel and things, but there was never anything really solid. And I think maybe that's what's happened. Like, people have been talking about things, people have had their own experiences that maybe haven't been taken too seriously. But obviously that alleged assault was, taken quite seriously and has resulted in an arrest. So I think that was probably kind of the tinderbox, really, for people's unrest around having the people here.
Do you know if there's been any outreach to the asylum seekers in the hotel themselves about how they've been feeling about it?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think anybody's done anything from that side of things. I would hope not, because obviously you can't tar everybody with the same brush. But yeah, not that I'm aware of, certainly.
I know it as previously as a hotel, as an Indian restaurant, and I've been a resident of the area for quite some time. I've been there when it was a hotel operation. I know that now that's in the press for all sorts of unpleasantness. I don't know, I don't pretend to know the answer to them housing people that need housing, but I do know that people screaming and shouting outside when people aren't having a good time anyway. It's not going to help anyone. I'm sure there's a few local people there, and I'm also sure that they've been wound up by things in the internet, press, that sort of stuff, and they've not been fed the truth. But I also think there's a hell of a lot of people there that like rent a mob and want to cause trouble and are just difficult people and shouldn't be there and shouldn't be encouraged.
The council managed to get an injunction, which means that people won't be housed there. There's a temporary ban on asylum seekers being housed there. Nigel Farage today was saying that this was a victory. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a couple of ways of looking at it, really. Firstly, you've got people that are already in a bit of a mess, who've probably been forced out of their homes because countries like ours have bombed them in the first place, who have probably not wanted to stay in a hotel. They probably wanted to join their families and get a job or whatever. So they're suffering. But I don't know, let's go in a most positive way of looking at it. Maybe it will force the government to do something more permanent, to look after these people.
There's going to be an uprising and people are going to be disgruntled. So, yeah, the judgment we've just got is a victory for people in Epping.
These people are going to be housed probably in another hotel, but where do you think they should be housed? What do you think the solution is here?
Well, they should use detention centres, disuse, military bases, stuff like that, to let loose single men, en masse in towns full of children, young girls, women, it's just absolute madness. So wherever they find, I just hope it's a million miles away from Epping.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, what happened, the alleged assault, is horrific. But do you feel like it's just that one asylum seeker? Do you think it's fair to tarnish the whole hotel of asylum seekers?
Well, no. I mean, obviously, only an idiot would do that. But again, you know, it's a powder keg waiting to go off, isn't it? You know, you house en masse young men together like that. You know, something's going to transpire from there, isn't it?